Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, so do you know it says we've got a pitch, pitch, plotline and structure. So are you going to show us how to pitch and plotline and structure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's as we go along.
Okay.
I'm going to do that right now. You know, but do you have a question about a pitch or something? Or?
No, about at the end, are we going to pitch it to someone?
That would be cool.
I could make that happen. I can make that happen for us if we want to pitch in front of somebody.
I'm looking at it. So, now usually when I have done this character breakdown, I've already focused on the first two, right? So I'm always going to start there because that's always the most important for any program, is the understanding of the difference of main character and central character. So, I'm going to ask Matt not to answer because he knows the answer, but like, who do you think is the main character of the story? So I'll give you an example. Die Hard. Anybody knows Die Hard, right?
Yeah.
So who's the main character of Die Hard?
I don't know the character's name, but I know the actor.
Who's the actor?
No, I've forgotten. That guy who was in Moonlight something.
Okay, yeah, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Right. Why is he the main character?
He's leading the film.
He's leading the film. So as writers, right, in the terminology, there's the protagonist and the antagonist. Is he the protagonist or the antagonist?
The protagonist is like the hero,
Yeah.
Yes.
and the antagonist is the enemy.
Yeah. So, he's the protagonist. Antagonist. He's the hero, right? Now, also, in writing, right, because writing goes all the way back to epic poetry, right? The way to figure out who the main character is usually that they are reflected in the title. So, Die Hard, who dies hard?
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Or Hard to Die, in other words.
Or hard to die, hard to kill, but still. Jaws. Jaws is a,
What's Jaws?
is Jaws the protagonist or an antagonist?
He's an antagonist.
Right? But it's called Jaws. He's the antagonist,
What is it?
but he's also the main character of that story because he's in the title, right? But,
Some titles are really strange, though, aren't they?
well, you give me a title and I'll prove on my theory.
Okay. What about
Shawshank Redemption.
What about
Yeah, you bastard.
what about the
Here's
Hours?
my theory.
Yeah.
Tim Robbins goes on a redemption out of Shawshank. He wants to redeem himself because he's innocent. Or is he? We never really get to know, but you know, that's very confusing. So the person who's going through the Shawshank Redemption is Tim Robbins. Theory proof. Go ahead. What we gonna say?
The Hours.
Fuck off, man.
That was the one about...
The one with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman,
And isn't it about time?
it is about time, so they keep going back in time, of course it is.
Or it's about the hours of Nicole Kidman. Anyway, moving on. So, basically, what happens to the main character? So, in an example of Die Hard, the protagonist hero, what happens? Does he change or does he not change?
I think from memory, the very first episode, he was on a plane, I think.
Hey.
And he was just some regular guy on a plane.
Yeah, the regular guy wasn't
Something
invited
that
to the party.
happened, which was very bad, like terrorists, whatever.
Terrorists,
and
yeah.
then he decided to become the hero.
Decided?
Well, he decided that he was going to take action.
He decided to save his wife.
Yeah.
Because he was, what? Heroic. He was pain in the ass. He always referred to himself as a pain in the ass. But my point is, did he change from the beginning to the end? So at the end, was he still a pain in the ass?
Yes.
And he saved his wife. So that way, he could go on to Die Hard 2. Have the same situation happen, still be a pain in the ass, still save his wife. So he could go on to Die Hard 3. Still be a pain in the ass, and hook up with Samuel L. Jackson. My point is, the main character always goes on an adventure. This is very key for you to remember when you are creating your characters. An adventure means that, oh, I had a good holiday, came back. Same thing, right? But this is what you need to figure out. And this is what, as writers, we never look at. Who is the central character? And what is the central character of every story? And we use Die Hard, we use Jaws. Who and what is the central character? So in Die Hard, who's the central character? Or what is the central character? And this is probably the hardest thing for you to figure out, so I will explain. The central character's role is to go on a journey. And as they go on that journey, they change three-dimensionally. So they have what I call a three-dimensional arc. Right? Do you understand what a three-dimensional arc is?
No.
That means they start out one way.
Means full stop.
Arc is like a story arc.
Oh, okay. Sorry. A story arc.
Yeah, arc. Arc. Listen. Arc.
Okay.
Right? So they start out one way,
Mhm.
right, at the beginning of the story.
Mhm.
They go on this journey, usually probably enamored or following the hero or chasing the villain, which means chasing the antagonist. And then they are changed by the end of that journey. So they have a full-on change. The central character, back to epic poetry, is usually the hidden writer. Like Homer, when he wrote the Iliad. This is what I was saying to you in the car, right?
Yeah.
So the hidden writer, where the writer writes themselves into the story, following the hero, so that way we can see all the adventures that the heroes go on, right? But that person is usually has a particular role. So now that you know what the role is, that person has a three-dimensional change, who in Die Hard has a three-dimensional change? And I know it's an old film for you, but you know, you can say Black Guy if you want.
I've not seen it, I don't think.
Ah, right.
I know,
Oh,
honestly.
it's great.
Please.
That's how it looks to me all the time. Let's go back to this. Black guy in Die Hard, which is Reginald Bell Johnson playing the cop, right? So the cop, at the beginning of the story, is going to the store, getting some Twinkies for his wife, right? And what happens is that like a body falls into his car by Bruce Willis throwing him there. That body has a walkie-talkie, and then he becomes Bruce Willis' confidant. But if that body didn't fall into his car, where would he go?
To deliver the Twinkies to his wife.
Exactly. So his life has changed. Now he spends the night on a different journey that he did not expect. So, and on this journey, he meets this guy, and so he makes a new friend. But he also tells him something. This is the most important bit. Do you remember what he said of why he wouldn't draw his gun?
I don't think I've seen that particular episode.
All right, so feel this then. So he says, right, he wouldn't draw his gun because he shot a kid. Bruce goes, oh, I didn't know that. And then the audience goes, oh, so we start to feel for him. Emotionally, he draws us into him and his character, right? He's never draws his gun again, right? But in the end, with his best friend that he just made, saves his wife, gets out of the building, has this whole horrendous experience. One of these guys is going to draw a gun on him and kill him, and Bruce is like, oh my God, I'm too tired, I'm just going to save my wife, right? And bam, guy shot by who? The sidekick, who never draws his gun, but does this time. Life, three-dimensional arc change. Make sense?
And that's true of all good scripts, is it? That's true of all good scripts.
It's the best, worst script if it doesn't have that.
Okay.
Because I want you to see, this is how you have to examine. I want you to see writing, right? The idea here is that there's a character, I thought I'm just watching Bruce frickin' Willis movie before he was famous. I didn't know I'm watching this black guy. I didn't know you're gonna make me care about this speed cop. But I need something to latch on to because he represents the audience. He brings something, he brings me into that story. Not like I killed a kid, but I can feel emotional for this person. I can't feel emotional for a guy who jumps off the roof and doesn't burn, right? I can't feel a guy who could be at 20,000 feet kicking a glass and break through it with a freaking like, fire hose tied to his back. I can't, because he's a superhero.
So,
But I can feel for Jimmy Olsen.
Is that
I can
gonna
feel
stay-
for Lois Lane.
So is is that the mistake they make with James Bond? Because they fixed that problem.
Very much so.
But they fixed that problem with the first Daniel Craig one because he really got beaten up.
Yeah, but yeah.
He got really beaten up and he got really taken, and in a way he was very vulnerable because he wasn't just able to.
No, you're talking about foibles. The mistake is he doesn't have a central character because you got M, he only talks to her once.
Yeah.
You got Q, he only gives him cards. You got Moneypenny, he flirts with. He doesn't have a central character in those stories. So Ian Fleming makes the mistake that I'm talking about.
Right.
Because you're either just gonna like all the wham bam thank you man stuff that comes from James Bond. But I'm bored with most James Bond movies, but I watch them anyway.
But in a
So
way,
they're central characters then?
They should be, but they don't really work too well as central characters because they're too busy being eye candy. Like the girl in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, but they do have a central element to it.
They have a central character element to them because, like all the girls, they're all like hidden scientists. You know, they're really intelligent, but they don't work as central characters. They don't.
no.
Not the way it should.
I mean, the Quantum of Solace one is a good one because she's got an aim of she wants to kill the man who killed her dad.
Yeah.
So that's it. But then when she gets to it, she goes, actually, I can't do it. That's not what I am. And then
But I just
James
don't
Bond
think
has
they
to step in
spend
and
very much money or time on actually hooking us into those
No,
characters.
they're just trying to make the next adventure.
I mean, they're spending $500,000 on a scene which is blowing up a bus. That's more important to them, I think.
You got a bunch of rich,
Yeah.
Greek, Italians, whatever they are, making these movies. They're not thinking about this when they do these scripts. But this is what I'm asking you to think about because we're breaking it down. So the last one before we go into the group dynamics that is past where Matt knows is that with Jaws, the central character has a triad in its storyline because the main character is an antagonist. So it has a triad. So we have Brody, Hooper, and Quint. We have Brody, who's a cop who doesn't like water because he can't swim. We have Hooper, who's the cocky scientist, oceanologist, Richard Dreyfuss. And we have Quint, who's a sardonic old shark hunter.
Not Roy Scheider. No, he's
No, that's Robert Harris or Robert Shaw.
Robert Shaw.
No, Roy Scheider is Brody, who's the cop who can't swim. So the point is that which one is the central character? Now, most people will say that Brody's the main character, but he's not. He's not because Judge is the main character. Brody's the central character because Brody is a cop living on an island who can't swim. And one of the old characters said that to him. Yo, Chief, we all know about you. You hate water. But my villain, my antagonist, is in the water. So I have no choice. In his heroic ideal, he has to chase the shark across the ocean in a rickety boat with these other two guys. But in the end, the water fills up the boat, the other two guys are seemingly dead, and Brody is laying in the water that he can't stand. And he has to overcome his fear to give one more shot to the oxygen tank that blows up that shark. That's drama. And that's because there's a three-dimensional arc to his character.
So
If he was just some, super cop, and I'm just gonna chase this shark on the water, nobody would care about that movie.
So in
It
a
would not
way,
be a blockbuster.
the central character in a way is a kind of supporting character in a way. He's not the main character, he's one of the main supporting characters that's bringing out more of what the main character is and drawing
In
us.
the case of an antagonist being your main character, that's right. But not in the case of Bond.
So he is the central character. The main
Bond
character.
would be the main character.
And he would be the main. He would be
He would be the main hero.
and he would be the main character. The main character as well. The central character as well.
No, Bond.
No, he wouldn't be.
No.
Well, you said before, I've only watched a couple of the Bond films. I know what you mean. There's no one else carrying him along, really. He's
There's no one following him. Like the thing about it is he has no sidekicks. Bond is a quintessential loner. Sometimes you have the character of Felix Leiter, who's like in 005 or something like that. But that's not. He doesn't serve as a sidekick. Everybody else just serves as one other person for him to encounter,
Yeah.
but they're not his central characters.
Okay.
So we don't really get much of a three-dimensional story, but except for the girl, right, who's just the eye candy, but in essence, then she becomes somewhat of a, what did you call it, central element and everything, more
Yeah.
so than a central character.
Yeah, the more, because James Bond tends to go, he gets a mission at the start of it, every film, isn't he? Like so-and-so's diamonds have been stolen or whatever. So he goes to investigate that, and coincidentally every time bumps into a sexy clad woman type thing, scantily clad woman, who generally has some character flaw, which is either she wants to get away from the bad guy or she wants revenge.
Right.
And she kind of plays as the sidekick, so he's got something to play off.
Right. Okay, so character dynamics. So this comes to in the story that we're creating. So conceptually, we're creating a TV show for online streaming content and shit. So what we're doing is that we've all been through what people have taken this before is we've been through the main and central character. And now, because it's about what show we're going to create, we're going to look at the design of the other character dynamic. So the Trek Triad. Anybody know Star Trek?
Yes. Yes.
Yes?
From
Thank you.
series to movies. Yeah.
Okay. So the Star Trek Triad is Kirk,
And then the Doctor.
Bones, that's the Doctor, and Spock. Right? Now, this is what we call an isosceles triangle, where the two sides are equal. Right? But they still are under the apex. Does anybody understand what I mean? I'm not trying to bore you with math, but what I'm trying to say is that since the 60s, probably even before, but it's really quintessential here, is that we've always had this dynamic of a leader, right? And his two sidekicks. So this is emotion, and this is intelligence. So it's not emotional intelligence, but some people might think that Kirk has emotional intelligence because he has the counsel of these two sides. Yeah? But what happens is that, so with these two sides, it also serves as the id, the ego, and the superego. Some people would think that Spock is a superego, but I don't think so. Right? The ego is kind of like pure, just like intelligence. Now, when you're designing your characters for this program, this is the things that you would have to discuss and think about, right? So, like, you know, I'm using Star Trek as an example. So if you were going to do a sci-fi show and there's a captain, the captain will have like two sides, but they will be equal, right? Now, you can do it in your research about like what other programs does that, but Trek does it best. Yeah, being able to have a team led by three. Yeah, because when you look at the Magnificent Seven, which is a group of 7 characters, right? You'll probably throw a triad into that group. So that way then you do 4 extraneous characters. Will those 4 extraneous characters be a gang of 4? Or would they be 4 other elements, right? So let us go back to that. So gang of 4, you've heard of the term, right? It's a British term, right? So gang of 4 is usually 4 sides of a group or 4 elements, right? So, like say for example Seinfeld, which is on one of the things we need to be researching, right? Seinfeld is a gang of 4, right? There's Seinfeld, there's Elaine, there's Kramer, and there's George, right? So in that parent of 4, it's like we're watching a gang of 4 and their adventures. Anybody understand that?
Yeah.
So like, you know, then you could look at other programs, like Friends was originally supposed to be a gang of 4, but then they added 2 other characters very early on. Like Chandler and Phoebe weren't supposed to be main cast members. They were only supposed to be supporting cast for subplots.
But don't you feel like with Friends, which is what I love mostly, I wouldn't actually say there's a main character. I feel like every episode it changes to who's plot line? Who's showrunners?
You're exactly right. So, but that's because it's a gang of four concept. So with a gang of four concept, it's like a square that constantly turns. So what that means is that they rotate on whose story it is.
That's what I want for, yeah.
Yeah. So, but you still have to know that those four people can't be four people who sound the same, look the same, or act the same. So you have to break them down into a gang of four, so that way they represent something. So the best gang of four representation is elements. And that would be fire, water, earth, and air. Or what we call the Fantastic Four. Now, let's not look at that terrible version of a movie. Let's look at the comic books. So the Fantastic Four, so if you think about fire, water, earth, and air, you have to think about what it actually equates into personality. Now it took me forever, and I was a huge comic fan, to figure out that the Fantastic Four was actually fire, water, earth, and air. Because I kept saying to myself, well, where's water? We got the Human Torch, we got the things that are obvious. We got the Invisible Woman, oh yeah, so she's air, so where's water? And then it didn't come until later on that they actually explained that elasticity of Mr. Fantastic is the elasticity of water. My God, pure genius. Because it wasn't so obvious that they were doing the four elements now. Because one of the elements missing, you're just thinking, oh, well, no, it's not four elements, what is it? Still it? It is. Because his stretch and elastic ability was the ability of water. And that's how you have to think about when you're looking at your characters, like, so how would that represent in character traits? If a person was fire, what character trait would they have?
Anger.
Yeah.
Anger. So that would be the hothead, the badass, right? The angry one, yeah? And everything. So you wouldn't have to give him red hair or anything, but it would be that person who was always angry. What's always wrong with Bob? That means he's the person everybody's talking about. In the case of Fantastic Four with the Human Torch, he's like, hey, I'm sexy, Human Torch, man on fire. But, you know, it's like, that was based on heat. You know what I mean? He's so hot that he's sexy. And you could go that route as well. If you were air, what would you be?
Invisible. Wallflower.
Wallflower, there we go. Now you're thinking. Wallflower, shy, invisible, quiet, the geek of the crew. So out of that four, now we got the geek and we got the hothead. Now the hothead could also be the sexy one as well. Could be the sexy redhead or it could be the sexy jock, right? And still represent the hothead, right? Earth.
Like, to me, like, neutral, like, not neutral, like, earth is like,
Tough guy.
what are you going to say?
Like a tough guy.
He's saying tough guy, but you're thinking about the thing. And I'm thinking, I'm going in the direction that she's going. Because she's saying neutral.
Building a character.
Somebody who's down to earth,
Yeah.
right? So it could be someone
Sensible, maybe.
sensible, naturopath,
Yeah,
you know, Mother Earth,
yeah.
right? See, so you don't have to go the route, you understand, Matt? You don't have to go the route of the thing and the Fantastic Four.
The voice of reason, even like,
See, Danielle, you're totally on point. So you got a Mother Earth, voice of reason, perfect for this crew. Yeah?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we all need that. You know, it could be a woman and three lads.
3 sons.
Or 3 guys, or
Yeah.
3 people who work in an office, and she's the, you know, the mother of the crew. Yeah? I mean, the 3 sons works too, but I'm just trying to say, if you're going to create a gang of 4, this is what you have to think about when you're actually creating that crew. So the last one is water, which I said was elasticity. Right? What else is water?
Powerful, strong.
Water, yeah, water is powerful and strong.
Turbulence.
Ooh. Turbulent is good. I'll put it down as that good. But what about elusive, cunning, smooth, slick,
Yeah.
untouchable, right? Because you can't even hold it, you can't grasp it, right? So, out of those 4 archetypes, who is the best to lead?
Yes.
Is it?
You wouldn't go
I wouldn't
anywhere.
get much of a story. Yeah, I
You
wouldn't
wouldn't make
really
any
get much of a
decisions,
story
you would
now,
just
but I know what you
sit
mean.
there.
Earth to me would be like,
If Earth is a voice of reason, somebody gotta have a plan, right? Somebody gotta have the get rich quick scheme, or somebody's gotta be the one. See, like I'm like the type of person who like the reluctant hero of a crew that doesn't see themselves as the hero.
yeah,
So what will happen is that there's that person, and how many of you know him, that everybody gravitates around, that is like the sun of your universe. Doesn't even know that he's the sun of your universe. Meaning that he's the earth of your geometric universe, because he's not even thinking about himself like in that way of being a leader, but we all go over to that person's house. Always like, what are you up to today, Johnny? I got no clue. I'm going this way. We'll go that way too. Right? But that's just one example of the fact of that. If we were following a turbulent, elusive, cunning leader who's leading us down the garden path, then we're going to need that voice of reason to stop us when we're going too far. So what do we have then? We have what we need, which is conflict.
conflict.
No story works without conflict. Now this is all just created right then and there, right? No story works without conflict. So if you got a leader, or a reluctant leader even, right? Everybody's following him. So, you know, like it could be a gang or a crew. Yeah? But within that is a voice of reason. Within that is a hothead, yeah man, I'm up for anything. And within that is the shy one. You know what I mean? The little brother pulled along in the slipstream. But see, do you see how those characters
Yeah.
just created right there by just
You
looking at
could
the
write
4
all
elements?
characters straight, more or
Yeah.
less from that straight away.
Right? So that is like the Gang of 4 concept. Now, obviously, you can do it like hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. Right? You could do it like north, west, south, east. Right? Because you're following something that has 4 points to it. So you don't have to follow the element paradigm, you can follow that paradigm, but then you still have to come up with how do we break that down into personalities. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Right?